women like men that just get it. Like you don't want to tell guys how to solve that problem. You don't want to solve the problems for, like, women aren't generally kingmakers. They want to be with a king. You know what I mean? Like they want to be with a guy that's got it figured out. So when it comes to that feeling emotions or being vulnerable, your dog dies, be emotional. You lose your parents, fine, be emotional. It's required. You have to grieve through that part. Brenda from accounting was mean to you today. You don't want to hear about it.
I mean, personally, for my friends, if Brenda at accounting was mean to one of my girlfriends, I'd be like, fucking get over it.
But most women would want to have a big conversation about that. Let's get together. We'll pour some wine. Let's bust out the cheese, get the charcuterie board going. Let's talk about Brenda and what a bitch she is, sort of thing.
What about just being heard?
Be heard. Absolutely. But I mean, the point that we're making about this concept is that women want men to just get it. And it's okay to be vulnerable in certain circumstances. It's okay to cry in certain circumstances that are warranted. But most men get emotional and get vulnerable and cry over the littlest things, which turn women off. Men don't understand this, that women want men that just get it, that are competent, that can solve problems, that can get things done, that can make it rain. They don't want to deal with a crybaby. One of the things you hear a lot of women say, and after I got divorced, I was dating a lot of divorced women as well, because I was looking at women around my same age group. And one of the questions I was always asking, so why'd you get divorced? So what happened? And I heard a lot of, he was a big baby, he couldn't keep a job down, he was such a pussy, he wasn't a man, he was a big beta, big crybaby, like all of these things. And it's like, that's interesting. But who was the guy that you married? Right? Like, did something change? And one of the things that happens to men in long-term relationships, I've noticed, is this concept that I call the pacific. Sorry, it's not the pacific. It's the betatization through 1,000 concessions. You see what I'm saying? So it starts with something like, "Hey, Rich, don't brush your teeth over there. You're going to get toothpaste on the carpet." Then it goes to make sure you put the white socks in the white hamper and the black socks in the black hamper. Then it goes.
Come on, now that one just makes sense.
Let's go vegan together. And then it continues to go concession after concession after concession.
Sure.
And the thing is that women, truthfully, they don't want men to make that many concessions. I understand the organized part. Like I understand, the laundry thing and all that sort of stuff. But as soon as you start stamping everything, yes, 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 and then you give her the stamp and she starts stamping everything, yes, her interest in that guy declines dramatically.
Agreed. Because here's the deal. He doesn't know who the fuck he is.
Right.
And do you like a girl to not know who the fuck she is either? Like, don't you want a girl to contest with every now and again? Don't you want a little bit of a challenge? I mean, there's like a perfect ratio. It's like a 1-to-5 ratio. I'm trying to think. It's a Hoffman. No, it's I'm trying to think. It's a marriage couple that researches marriage, but there's a perfect ratio of disagreements that need to happen in a relationship. And I don't know what your thoughts are on Jordan Peterson, but he'll talk about that too. You don't want easy. You want some level of challenge that is required for the relationship to be strong. You don't want a pushover. Do you? Do you want a pushover girl?
I don't want to come home to a disagreeable, bossy, bitchy woman. I want to come home to a loving woman.
Of course, a woman wants a loving man, but you can't tell me that you want a woman to make 1,000 concessions for you and that you'd still respect her.
I would.
For what?
Because she's not a man. Men and women are different. Remember that. We talked about that before. Men and women are different. Just because I think the great lie that a lot of women have subscribed to when they're drunk on this Kool-Aid is they've been told to behave like men. Oh, you have to be somewhat disagreeable. There's a certain ratio because Jordan Peterson
Definitely not.
said so.
That's not true. That's not true.
Is it?
It's not true. That's just called autonomy.
Is it though?
Yeah, absolutely. Because no two people are identical.
Right.
But it's not like we could all just agree on everything. So just like you're going to know who you are and I would know who I was, like you're not always going to agree. So you can respectfully disagree or you can have the discussion, change your mind perhaps. I actually, like part of doing this interview is I was hoping you could change my mind on some things because then I know I've learned something. Because I'm open-minded. That's like the fascination is that cool, teach me something new. but I know I have my convictions about myself. I know who I am, and I'm not just going to bend over in every single category so a man can feel good about himself or so he cannot be challenged.
Yeah, but believe it or not, he's not trying to feel good about himself by not arguing with you. He just doesn't want to argue with you. He just wants peace in his life. Right now, I get that not many men are competent and deserve a peaceful life. I understand that. There's a lot of losers out there, a lot of weak men that get challenged by women for a reason. I get it. I fully understand that. But a guy like me, I don't want a confrontational woman in my life.
Right.
It's not needed and it's unnecessary. And I'm competent enough and I'm successful enough and influential enough that I don't need to put up with that sort of thing. So while I get that a lot of women have been told to be strong and independent and decisive, and to some degree, like, women I think today are more disagreeable than they ever have been in history.
Yeah, but I don't think that it's because we're being told to. It's because people are getting more confident with who they are.
Well, it's because women don't need men anymore.
Nobody needs anybody.
Don't they?
Do they? I don't know. That's a great question. What's the point of a relationship? What's the point? I love the question. What is the point of being in a relationship? You're essentially talking about not being challenged, but my experience and all of the people that I know and the books that I read and the shows that I watch, relationship is the greatest place to grow because it's going to challenge you.
It can't, but not because of the challenge. Having challenges, like I have challenges in life, Danica. I run businesses, I have investments, I have real estate. I have supercars that break down all the time. Like I have enough challenges.
But nothing taps into your emotions like a relationship.
No, that's wrong. Really? Successful men that are doing something with their life do not want disagreeable women in their life. They want a complement to their life. They want a woman that adds value to their life. They don't want to fight and argue over, well, this weekend we're going to go shopping for curtains and they have to look like this. And it's like, after I've just been busy all day doing all this shit, putting out fires, you're going to yell at me about curtains now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a shitty challenge. That's a shitty challenge.
That's what a lot of guys are dealing with, though.
The real challenge is the getting triggered part. The real challenge is,
believe it or not, Danica, there are good relationships out there where there aren't constant challenges, there aren't constant disagreements.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a compliment to one another's lives, sort of thing. One of the things that I wanted to mention as well, too, because you brought up Jordan Peterson, is, I think he does more good than he does harm. And I think you've had him on a podcast, have you?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So, he's an interesting guy, but I think that he gets marriage wrong. I think he gets relationships wrong. There was an advertisement that I saw on the Daily Wire, and they were pumping out this thing about Jordan Peterson's 3-part series on marriage. And I thought, that's interesting, because I have a chapter in my book on why smart men don't marry anymore. So I went and bought, the subscription. I watched it, and I did a video podcast on it. You can go find it on my podcast channel, The Unplugged Alpha. But the thing that he gets wrong is that his entire notion about a good marriage, about a good relationship, by the way, he's only had one. Okay. His entire notion is built around negotiating in that relationship. And what you're basically talking about is negotiating desire. I'll do the chore play. I'll do the dishes, put them away, take care of the laundry, run the kids to the soccer meet and the swim lessons, all that sort of stuff. And I need you to do this, that, and the other thing, sort of thing. It's like, you sort of start negotiating back and forth with this and that, or I'll give you this, or you can hang up that picture if I give you these curtains, sort of thing. And it's like, he wants to continuously encourage guys to negotiate in a relationship. And I don't think that that's a good idea, because you can have a good relation. Trust me, because I'm in one right now. You can have a good, like, I've been in shit relationships where you're constantly fighting and there's all this, head butting sort of, I was married to a lawyer. I've dated a lot of successful women. Okay. Lawyers, accountants, stuff like that. So you can be in a good relationship and not have to negotiate anything in the relationship. She has genuine burning desire for me. Right. And I feel the same way about her, and it's organic, and I don't have to fight over anything like that. He doesn't even talk about basic concepts like vetting women for marriage. Like, let's take a look at any red flags that might exist in her life that we might not want to invite into our life to complicate it unnecessarily. So, like, his stuff is pretty good, and he definitely does more good than bad. But I really think he gets like this notion of just ramming men into the slaughterhouse of marriage, which is what happens to most guys. Believe it or not, here are the stats. So they've done these surveys, and over an average, I think it was 8.1 years. Take a guess how many couples were still in love, defined as in love. Like what percentage?
30%.
13.
13.
Take a guess how many define their relationship as blissful, like we're blissfully in love.
Like 3%.
Exactly. That's bad.
That's terrible.
That's horrible.
What the fuck is wrong?
And why would you as a guy sign up for something that would look like marriage?
Or girl, you are acting like it's only guys that are miserable.
I'm not saying it's just guys, but the risk factor that most guys have, which is exclusionary to you because you're successful in your own right from your own career, but most guys, like Kevin from the VP department of the sales team, conveniently almost always will be making $280,000 a year, will conveniently marry Becky, who's a $40,000 a year hairdresser, right? So the risk for guys is they're getting themselves into a situation or environment where it's now their entire wealth and their future wealth potentially and access to their kids if they have them, because women still get the vast majority of custody orders, is very, very high risk and potentially low reward for them in a marriage. But for women, it's high reward and low risk because they get the custody, because they are always taken care of with family law, because they can pull the false domestic violence trigger sort of thing. So there's a lot of moving parts to this that most women don't get until they finally get, sort of thing, right? And I'm not saying that any of this, needs to change or we should rally the troops or anything like that. Again, I'm the enjoy the decline guy, right? So I'm just like, draw perimeter, watch them do what they want to do, and I'm going to protect mine. And there's us versus them sort of thing. So it's a very interesting dynamic when you take a look at it for what it really is. Like we said earlier, there's truth and lies.
So what's the point of a relationship?
Well, the point of marriage, if we're going to bring it to...
Well, you don't believe in marriage though, right?
No.
Okay. And I'm totally I have been questioning that institution for years now. Like, do you really need marriage to make this thing real? I mean,
well, the thing about marriage that most people don't understand, there's a really good book by Stephanie Kuntz called The History of Marriage. You should check it out. And the TLDR version of it is that the reason why we've been getting married for, hundreds of years and all this sort of stuff, ever since the advent of agriculture and all that, is the acquisition of in-laws, right? So I'm successful as a farmer. My brother is a blacksmith. My other brother is a teacher. My dad is a law enforcement guy. Your side of the family, you got a chemist. You got somebody that's mob boss sort of thing. Like you would blend the families, and you would then have the acquisition of in-laws. And guess what? Now you're taking care of your own. But that's changed in
that was where
history.
It was community based, where it was like
now it's the state that is the head of the household. Right?
Yeah.
The family is no longer the head of the household. The man is no longer head of the household. The state is the head of the household. And in fact, you could argue that women have all the power with the state behind them because of the way that family law is written and the advantage of being the mother and usually being the lower income earner in most relationships. I guess, again, with the exception generally of somebody successful and accomplished as yourself, sort of thing. So, what's the point of marriage today? I don't see any point in it, right? If my girlfriend said, well, if we don't get married, then I'm going to leave, I'll just, okay, it was nice knowing you. Right. I have to surrender to that fact because I've acknowledged that it's too risky and it's too difficult for me to go through that again. Right. Now, do you want to have kids? I think that a two-parent household is the best way to do that. Do you need to get married to do that? Not really. Can you get married if you really want to? Can you lower the risk by vetting, who's going to potentially be the mother of your kids? Can you there's lots of things that you can do to sort of improve the odds of not throwing your life down the toilet bowl, so to speak. But, we're in a very different and difficult time when it comes to both the sexes. Like I understand men's point of view very well. And talking to you about this, from the female perspective, I get that you say certain things and why you say them. But again, I still think that men and women are better together than they are apart. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here. And pinned down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.